Uganda is progressing very fast, negotiating sharp bends at breakneck speed. On the Drift podcast, we put that growth in perspective. Hello Uganda, welcome to yet another episode of the Drift podcast. I am Kimbugwe, and of course with me on set is Mr.
Saleh, Kamba,
and we have a lady in the building. She's not a cop by any means, but she's very, very powerful. And it's none other than Beatrice Muzaale. Beatrice, if you may tell people exactly who you are and what you do in just a couple of seconds before we dig deep into the topic for today, which is, of course, EFRIS.
Thank you, Solomon. I'm Beatrice Muzaale, and I currently manage EFRIS, the Electronic Fiscal Receipting and Invoicing Solution, URA.
Nice to have you here.
So that is EFRIS.
That is EFRIS.
It is a solution, not a system, right?
It's a solution.
Okay.
Yes.
It came here to solve problems, making it a solution.
Yeah, of course.
It's part of our medium-term
By the way,
revenue.
it is one of the
strategy.
things that are out there people confuse. Because if you ask, and trust me, even when you try to ask people on campus, they will say it is a system, not a solution. But it's good enough we have her on set to bring the contest, the conclusion, whether it is a system or a solution.
Without a doubt. A system can be a solution though. But Beatrice is here.
A solution has a number of systems.
And she's going to tell us exactly what the thing is. Now, Beatrice, for a first-time viewer, a first-time interactor with this word EFRIS, what is it? What should they perceive it to be?
Okay. EFRIS is an electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution.
Okay.
Not just a system, but it's a solution. And the major purpose is to support and manage centralized invoicing, both the invoices and the receipts for all the regulated taxpayers. And for Uganda, EFRIS is part of the medium-term revenue strategies to support the domestic revenue mobilization through doing business, and also increasing the attractiveness of Uganda for investment, and also to narrow the gap between the expected revenue and the actual revenue received. Yeah.
I like two words in there: expected revenue and the actual
revenue
that is received. And how is this solution helping us to, achieve that, to strike that balance?
Okay. First of all, if all transactions are captured, the business transactions, the sales, the purchases, and everything in that spectrum, the tax administrator is in position to make the right assessment on the taxpayer. Then also it improves the self-assessment of the taxpayer themselves, because we are in a self-assessment regime where you declare your transactions by yourself, and then we've given you that trust that you're doing the right thing, but we need to have a basis for proper verification.
We are also in the age of data.
Yes.
So it's only fair that we have a real-time solution that can give us data that can be verified on both ends of the device.
Yes.
No longer these things of having to come here with boxes of files on your head.
No, we no longer have that.
To prove that the assessment is not right or wrong. It's a beautiful situation, and we are quickly moving into the next phase of this quick discussion. It's a question of mandate.
Where does URA get the mandate?
No, the mandate of who should be on the system and who should not. Many taxpayers are confused about that. They're wondering, should my kiosk be on EFRIS?
It shouldn't.
Or shouldn't it?
Or even a kasaloon.
A kasaloon, yes. Or my border. I could be owning a border.
Okay.
Should it be on EFRIS? We need that clarity.
Okay, the mandate for the implementation of EFRIS for Uganda emanates from the tax laws, and the tax laws give the mandate to the Commissioner General the power to gazette which businesses should be on EFRIS at what time. So apparently, the VAT register It's all the taxpayers that are on the VAT registered for VAT. It's mandatory for them to be using the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution. However, as we move forward, soon we shall, in the second phase, we shall have the fuel transactions plus any other business category that will be gazetted by the Commissioner General. So right now it's the VAT registered taxpayers.
And you've talked about the second phase, including fuel, the fuel sector.
Yes.
So far, how's the reception out there by the taxpayers? Have they received it warmly or heavy?
It has been received well, especially by the large taxpayers, the medium taxpayers, because they have voluminous transactions, and this system is actually helping them to organize and be able to view all their purchases and also track their stock. Because with this system, as you purchase, there is movement of stock from the seller to the buyer.
In real time?
In real time on the system. So you're only left with verification of actual physical delivery, and then you're sure. So the business community has appreciated the EFRIS from the angle that they can manage their businesses from the comfort of their homes and offices and monitoring their staff on duty as they do these transactions. And I think that is a plus for this system. It gives you the visibility and you're able to track the movement of your goods from one end into another, at least by the system.
Now, does it consume a lot of data, or there is an offline? Is there an offline?
We have an offline mode to even, like on the side of URA, you don't even anticipate any network challenges or it goes off, because the offline mode is actually seamless. You don't notice that you're even offline because you keep transacting. It generates the FDN. The FDN is the physical documentation number. It is generated and you can issue the receipt to your client, and when they finally get the network or the internet, the transactions are posted to URA. But you can be able to issue in offline mode.
So meaning that data should not be an excuse.
No, it shouldn't be an excuse. Like, for example, even the EFD. The EFD, we designed this to help the taxpayers that do like the road sales and they are on the road in areas where we don't have the network connectivity. It can work in offline mode. And it has, the menu has everything like the way it is on system to system. You can stock in, you can view the earlier stocked in goods, you can issue a receipt. So you can work in offline and it's seamless for you. You don't even notice you're offline. As soon as you get where there is connection, all the transactions are submitted.
Nice. I understand that this system has been adopted by our neighbors, and it seems to be working quite well in some of those countries. So I guess the next question I'm going to ask you is, what have we been missing out on as a country because of the lack of a system like this?
Okay, thank you, Solomon. Just to affirm that it's in our neighbors in East Africa. Actually, in Rwanda, it's the electronic billing machine system. That's the name they've tagged to it. Then in Tanzania, it's the electronic physical device management system. And then in Kenya, they call it the TMS, the tax invoice management system. So as you can see on the East African community, we are not alone.
We are moving together.
So part of the benefits, that there are benefits to the tax administrator, because as you remember, it's a medium-term strategy for revenue mobilization. So from the side of the tax administrator, it is helping us wipe up the multiple record keeping, multiple records the taxpayers were providing. For example, if they know that URA is auditing them before, they would have the set of records for URA, then another set which is real that they used to pursue for loans in the banks and other business transactions. But with this centralized invoicing system, those multiple records are dying out. Then also we are improving efficiency in managing our audits, because we have verifiable information. If you are verifying input tax, you already have the transactions that have been recorded in the system when they occurred. And also the auto filing of the returns that we are about to roll out. It will be very easy for a taxpayer to just receive a pop-up and then they're asking you whether we should be submitting. Because all the transactions, as you transact, URA is receiving them. So there is no need for you to hire an accountant to start filling every line in that return. It's at that instance that you just ask you, do you want to submit? You review and then you submit.
My accounting uncle, should he be worried?
Of the job?
Of the job. No, actually, your accounting uncle should learn how the system works and help more businesses to get on board.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are those that have not yet gotten on board, so they need people who can support them. So it's just about dynamism. When the times change, you also change with them. You now improve on how you do your business.
I heard you say something about system to system.
Yes.
Are we talking about accounting systems? I'm also thinking about that uncle of mine, and I'm wondering, is with the coming on of such a facility, is there still a space for an accountant that is analog, or accountants should
The traditional
really embrace? Yes.
No, just to start with the system to system, we have platforms. The Commissioner General has provided platforms through which the taxpayer can issue an e-invoice. We have the system to system is a way of connecting your ERP billing system as a taxpayer to the EFRIS, such that as you transact in your own system, issuing your own predominant receipt, they are fiscalized. So that is the system we are talking about. Then we have the desktop application where you download an app, even on your phone, and you can actually issue this receipt at the comfort of your office or at your home. We have the EFDs like we shared, and also the web portal. So I think your uncle, the accountant, should understand how EFRIS works and then support the business, because much as there is still work to be done through the EFRIS.
He should become an EFRIS accountant.
EFRIS certified accountant.
Actually, I saw somewhere in the newspapers. I think there was a company that was advertising for accountants. And they say you must possess experience in EFRIS.
So actually, it's an added advantage for you to know how EFRIS works, because this is the business right now in the whole world. It's not only in the it's African community, but even in other countries. There's electronic receipting and that centralized management of invoicing.
He watches the podcast, so I'm sure learning is taking place.
Uncle Kimbugwe.
Uncle Kim, please tell your uncle too.
Uncle Kimbugwe, we quarter course, so.
Nice. That gets us to this question. There's some people out there that are thinking that EFRIS is a new thing, but was a CPI. Came yesterday or the day before. If you can just take us through the journey of EFRIS in Uganda, because it's not something that has just popped up.
It's not new. Actually, Solomon, EFRIS, the first conversations of EFRIS in Uganda began around May 2020, where individuals were engaged, and also the business associations, to try to have an input into this. So from that time, we had also a pilot phase that was voluntary, and the first teams on board were the supermarkets, because they already had their billing systems and it was easy for them to connect. But all throughout that COVID period, URA was training, engaging, sensitizing. We've even provided us self-learning videos that you can teach yourself and follow
they're
through.
On the YouTube channel.
They're on the YouTube channel. So we had that phase. Then from around July to September 2020, the business community requested for extension to be able to organize themselves and be ready to implement, which URA granted. The 3 months. That was it was expedited by the supermarkets. Then thereafter, an extra 3 months were also requested by UMA, Uganda Manufacturers Association, which was also granted up to December 2020. So the whole of that year, the conversations were going on, and also the trainings and sensitizations. So on 1st January 2021, we rolled out EFRIS. And still, we didn't start enforcement immediately. We provided a grace period of around 10 months up to September, when we issued a public notice on enforcement. So still, to allow taxpayers to adjust their systems, stock in, configure their goods. So EFRIS has been around for some time. Enforcement began on 1st November, and right now, as we speak, we're in the enforcement period. So if you're out there and you're not complying, we shall be right at your door. Some of you have already witnessed this. And it's not our joy as URA to enforce on you, but everyone deserves their treatment. So those that are not complying, just to let you know that you're in the enforcement era period, and the measures are really punitive. there is penal tax. We are denying tax benefits. Like right now, the taxpayers that enjoy the withholding tax exemption, they are applying for the next period from July to December. So EFRIS is one of the parameters we have on the checklist for compliance to get the tax benefits. So we can remove the tax clearances and all those details. So EFRIS has been around for like 2 years. Yes.
Now you've spoken about the phases,
Yes.
from 2020
To date.
Up to date.
Yeah.
Now, what is the what are the new developments that taxpayers should be aware of?
The new developments, yeah, the new developments. On 7th April 2022.
That's like last month.
Like last month.
Okay.
The Commissioner General gazetted taxpayers that are supposed to be using the system-to-system invoicing channel.
Okay.
This channel, why the gazette? Taxpayers with transactions above 100 per day.
100 million?
100 transactions a day.
100 situations.
Number of transactions a day. This is the best solution that you should be using because it's, first of all, it's seamless and it's fast. It can help you manage your queues better. So the Commissioner General has gazetted a category of taxpayers to use this system. And the criteria is three category based.
Okay.
The number of transactions per day, 100 and above. Then the turnover, if you have a turnover of 2 billion and above, you should be using the system to system. Then if you have an invoicing or billing system, you can easily connect with URA. So that is a new development. Taxpayers have been gazetted, and also a public notice was issued on the 10th of this month to allow a transitional period and to be able to get on board by 30th June. So from 1st July, those taxpayers that have been gazetted should actually be using this solution. So that is a new development that everyone should look out for with your CRMs in the different tax offices to confirm that you're on the list. But also with this criteria, if you look at the gazette and the public notice, you can actually know that I should be using this solution. That is the newest that we have. Then also we intend to, because we noticed that people who are on the road sales, they are not properly being fiscalized. So as we intensify on the sensitization and the engagements, we also want to bring the stick a little and try to monitor the non-fiscalized goods in transit and the route sales. So make sure that the taxpayer needs to make sure that when the goods are being sent out to be sold on the route, let the invoices be pre-generated, or they should be having an EFD to enable them to actually issue a receipt there and then instantly. Yes.
In real time.
In real time.
You talked about the punitive elements.
Yes.
And of course, it's important for people to know the facts,
Yes.
especially the hard facts.
The hard ones.
If you know what I mean. So, how punitive is the punishment that is meted out on someone who has deliberately chosen to contravene the EFRIS protocols?
Measures are really punitive, but of course the mandate also to penalize the non-compliance is in section 73B of the TPC, which institutes a penalty for failure to comply, and this penalty is either 300 currency points or the tax element in the goods that have been sold out, whichever is greater. Whichever is greater. So we have the penalties, and then also the denial of those tax benefits, and that inconvenience, because like for the route sales we are going to do interceptions, so you can imagine if you plan to take 2 hours on the road, you see how non-compliance can cost you a lot of time. Instead of if you targeted, like a sales agent, and you have a target to sell to 10 people maybe in a day on your route, I will intercept you if you're not compliant and you don't even have the EFD, and you also the goods are not yet fiscalized that you're moving with. We shall first have some conversations there, candid conversations, and you know it's into your selling time. So the interceptions, the impromptu roadblocks, the seizure of goods, when the commissioner believes that tax may not be paid or it's actually not paid, we can still seize those goods. So I think those measures are not simple.
I think they're not. Just for avoidance of doubt,
yes.
Someone is out there and they're wondering, 300 currency points.
Yes.
What is that in money that people can understand?
My currency point is 20,000, so that's 6 million. 6 million.
quite a handsome fee.
Yeah, handsome fee. And no, this is not a one-off like in a day. Every time I get you with non-fiscalized goods or with the receipt that is not fiscalized, the 6 million comes. So I can penalize you 3 times a day. So you can imagine that.
Now, in case I
18
want,
million.
now, in case I want to avoid such inconveniences,
Yes.
and I want to buy this one, this kind of
The
machine,
EFD.
where can I get it from? Can I get it on the black market or?
It's not on the black market. The EFDs are actually provided. We have a pre-qualified provider of the EFD.
Okay.
That's Rank Consults, and they are at 7th Street in industrial area.
Okay.
However, if you're still having challenges to get there through your tax office, we can give you a quick connection to them.
Okay.
The EFD is at 1.1 million, and in my view, I think that's affordable because the average businessman, like their handset, the phone, is around 3 million. So the EFD is affordable, and with the value that it helps you to manage your business at just having it held in your hands.
It's a worthwhile investment.
It's a worthwhile investment.
Especially since we are talking about VAT registered taxpayers.
Yes. And you know the threshold.
Yeah.
So they can actually afford this because I don't think any of them has. Really?
But you said the name of the source, or should we call him the plug, with a bit of an accent. It's Kaulide.
Okay, Rank Consult?
Rank Consult?
Rank Consult. Rank Consult.
Rank.
Rank Consult.
Like
is
those
the
ranks.
ranks, like these ones,
Ah.
these chapters, the rank. Rank Consult, they are the ones that providing they are accredited by URA, and they are in industrial area, 7th Street.
I hadn't captured that, but
We actually issued out a public
Natandikira
notice.
mukono.
We issued out a public notice in February, giving all the details of who is providing the EFD and all that detail. You can also look out for that public notice because it was published in February.
Oh, yes.
Yes, but still.
These notices have also been uploaded on the URA web portal.
Yes, they are on the web
So
portal.
someone might as well go check out the URA web portal, and they'll be able to extract this. Or on Twitter, if you just go to Twitter and you hit in the hashtag URA public notice, you'll be able to get an archive of all the public notices that URA has been publishing in the recent past.
So just back to you, what's new? The EFD, I mean the system to system, and then the usage of the EFDs, especially for the road sales, because we are going to start enforcement on the road.
This is the moment where you get to take our very final questions. I know he usually comes in very handy at this point of the podcast.
Yes.
He's the guy who usually has so many questions. But for me, it's just an appeal. Do you have something that you would specifically want to say to the viewers,
On the public.
including my
uncle, your uncle, the accountant, plus your brother, the owner of the other
businessman.
business. Yes, the businessman. That VAT registered one.
And even my cousin, who is an upcoming business person.
Yes, an upcoming business
They need
person.
to know these things. And even my mom, who is always buying things.
Yeah.
You know, different people. Just appeal to them. Say something to them.
Okay. To our viewers and the general public, I would like to appeal to you to always demand a fiscalized receipt or invoice when you're purchasing, because this is the only way you'll be sure that your tax contribution is actually reaching its destination, and that's the government. Because the government has infrastructure development and has the activities to run. So the only way you can track and ensure that this middle person you're buying from has not taken away the tax component from where it's supposed to go is to demand that fiscalized receipt. And the general public is the #1 enforcement officer of this solution. You actually partners in progress, and we really depend on you to demand these receipts because you're where we are not.
Akatalekeka, just before, something came to my mind when you were speaking about this fiscalized receipt that the public should be demanding for. What are the hallmarks? What are those elements that they must look at to ascertain that this is indeed a fiscalized receipt and not just another receipt?
Okay, we have 3 features. We have the FDN, the fiscal document number. It is written on FDN, and there's a number that is digited number there. Then we have a verification code. It's also on that receipt, plus the QR code. So those 3 you must have it. However, you can also download our Kakasa app and verify, because that may not be enough. You really want to look at the display. You can seal through your Kakasa app, verify the authenticity of the invoice.
And establish whether this is not a NASA road invoice.
You know, in Uganda.
And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the Drip podcast. But you heard it from Beatrice herself.
Yep.
You need to protect yourself at all times as a business person by issuing these fiscalized receipts. Then also you, the buyer, my uncle, my brother, my sister, anyone who is purchasing anything from a person who should be on EFRIS. This could be a supermarket, this could be a hardware store, this could be a liquor store. Whenever you go to buy anything, please demand for your e-receipt or demand for your e-invoice if it is a service that you've just partaken of. From all of us at the Drift studio, to all of you who are viewing and listening, adios.
Jambo.
Uganda is progressing very fast. Negotiating sharp bends at breakneck speed. On the Drift podcast, we put that growth in perspective.